Right, hello everybody. I do apologise for that complete fuck up. It would happen, wouldn't it? Like, just after I did the song, which took me a full 15 minutes to write, and then the computer crashes. But you know, there's all great plans, there's always a problem. But anyway, we're here. So it's been. I just hope the computer doesn't go crazy again. But. Oh, what a crazy! So, what are your feelings on? Well, just in case somebody doesn't know, let's tell everybody what's happened here. Basically, Lorne got sent back to jail today. He's violated his probation on a couple of counts. Shin, Koala, is with me. Hello, sir.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
And yeah, so we wanted to. I don't know where to start. Really, it's crazy, isn't it? Because we've been monitoring this guy for a while, obsessing over him, parodying him, making videos about him, and all kinds of crazy stuff. We've all had a bizarre obsession with him. Fascination's probably the better word. And all of that has come to a head now, and he's gone back to prison. Now we can all have a bit of fun with this. And the thing is, at the risk of, like, if you was ever thinking of feeling bad for him, nobody should revel in somebody else's demise, but ultimately everything that has happened here is all his own doing. Every decision, he's always had the opportunity to sort of, even in the last couple of years and since he's been like talking to Tiffany and all that, he's always had a chance to do better, and he's continually made the bad choices, hasn't he?
Yeah. He basically tripped over himself on this. It was kind of a slow-moving storm that overtook him, I think. There's a lot of theories about what happened, but procedurally, I can give you a kind of a rundown real quick if anybody's interested. Should I do that, Andrew?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Basically, he was called in, I guess, probation. Now, apparently, there was an arrest warrant issued for him on the 28th last month, and that could have been executed by any law enforcement agency. But I think what they did is they waited for him to come in for his appointment, and then I think they just dropped the hammer on him at that point. He was basically brought in, and when you have a probation violation, you have a hearing, and they do a probable cause hearing to determine whether you would there's been a violation of the probation and you're the one who did it, essentially just like a criminal complaint. But in this case, they determined there was probable cause to send him to his surrender. Basically, he's probably going to get his probation terminated. And furthermore, the judge actually came out with some findings that were pretty scant on an order whereby they had to determine, because in a situation like that, a judge can set the probationer out on bail and then come back for a surrender hearing. And in this case, the judge found that he shouldn't get any bond at all, which is a pretty serious thing. And the reason why he couldn't get a bond is because Lorne had the burden of proof to show that he wasn't a threat to society or to the public, rather. And he couldn't meet that burden. And the evidence that, again, it's very scant in the order, but the evidence that was brought at the probable cause hearing was, if I can remember it, I wrote it down. Let's see. Well, violation of his terms, and also for being suspended from sex offender treatment. So he's actually been suspended out of that class, and I'm not sure if we knew the status of that. He also has, I believe, they're probably. My guess is that the failed polygraphs come in, and the reason why that's important is if you look at it as a probation handbook, federal probation handbook, that talks about the standard conditions. Now, these aren't the specific conditions. Don't use alcohol, stay away from computer, and all. These are standard conditions that all probationers have to follow. And the main condition that he, as far as I can see, violated would be condition B, which is you must answer truthfully the questions asked by your probation officer. And that's under a statute too, under 18 USC 355-382C and D. But in any event, we could only guess the lies he had told his probation. And again, the polygraph is prima facie evidence that he lied. That is admissible in surrender hearings, for especially for administrative purposes, like monitoring a probationary rather. So my guess is the polygraphs came in, and I'm going to, and again, the suspension of the sex offender class, I think, is a little bit more interesting to talk about. If you guys want to delve into that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that's always fascinated me. You know, the group of us that I speak to that are interested in this subject, we refer to it as rape class, which is amusing and also disturbing at the same time, because you're thinking, rape class? It's what do? You can just imagine in comedy style a guy with a whiteboard and a pen saying, right, here's what it is, guys. Never rape another person. No. It's like, you know what? It's like such a low level of sort of
humility. You basically you need to be humble. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, it's teaching somebody very basic life lessons, which is don't hurt other people, and maybe it just baffles me that they have to do this shit. And
hold on a second, Brendan. He was booked. I believe it was yesterday. He's gonna try to find the mugshot. I would love that, but I gotta see his face. Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, you were talking about sex offender class, Andrew. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you said that's the most interesting part. We know that basically they kicked him out of that class because he failed the lie detector test, or he failed some kind of polygraph.
What was the question for that? Do you remember? Was that the outcome?
I don't know. We've theorized about. We know that some of these questions have not been. You see, the problem is, and we've discussed this before, is let's just say that they ask him, "Are you a predator?" and he says no. From his point of view, he's telling the truth. He is a predator, but he doesn't think he is one.
Well, the Bloods think not either. So, he's not, he's been told he's not a predator. So maybe it doesn't matter. But here's what I think, Andrew. I think there's a possibility that they may have gotten wind of the real victims.
Yeah, the girl whose name we can't mention that we did a stream about. A couple
actually,
of,
2 of them.
Yes, there's 2 of them that we know of.
And if that were the case, all of his work that he put in was a lie with sex offender class.
But surely they know he's been lying because he's not been passing the classes.
But now he put a confession on the internet. He basically, we talked about it. I'd like to think that maybe that's not the case or whatever. But again, they got a better picture of him if they were listening. So, remember when I told you, I said, when this information comes out, shit's going to happen.
Yeah, you did. T-Cat Recipes has just said real victims. Just in case you don't know, in case you missed what's been going on, there was Tiffany was talking to him, and she managed to get out of him that basically there was a girl who was friends on his MySpace. The name of this girl's out there, but we don't want to mention it. Right. She was 15. He went to visit her.
We think she was younger though, but that's okay.
Yeah, we don't know, but basically there was a real girl who was underage that he was in a relationship with. We know he exposed himself to her because he's admitted it, and we know she exposed herself to him. Mm-hmm. As we all know, everybody listening to this knows that because we've only got Lorne's word for it, it's 20% lies. Well, 80% lies and 20% truth. So we've been trying to sift through it. It's very difficult. Mm-hmm. We're never going to get the story, but we know that girl was real. We've seen evidence of it. And it's quite strange that I just thought it was a coincidence that we found this out and then he's arrested, because he's violated 2 terms of his probation as far as we know, which are his drinking So he's been drinking. They found out he's been drinking when he shouldn't have done, and he failed a polygraph test on the sex offenders class. I think there might be other violations as well.
Yeah. Well, here's what I think. You got to remember what he's in for. What he's mainly being monitored for, and that's to stay away from kids and stay away from any kind of sexual being a predator in any way, shape, or form. So, of course, that's going to alert them. And the reason why I think the real victim, might be involved here is because, again, he's been bullshitting them for 5.5 years now, probably even on his polygraph now. And again, it came right out of his mouth too. And this was an admission. And again, the evidentiary rules are much more lax in these probation surrender hearings. So, a lot of stuff can come in. But I think that it was mainly related to, they became alarmed when they realized, they had a different animal than they thought they had. And then they looked back and see all of his effort, which is basically a violation of his probation by not being honest in that class as well, because that's an extension of probation. And they realized that is central to why he was put in to begin with. And if he's lying about that, he's going to fail the class, and the class is part of his probation conditions. And if he's suspended from that, then he's violated that just on its face. So, but I often wonder why they kicked him out of class, because I don't think it would just be for alcohol. I think that they could work with that, although they tried, and they tried to set up conditions.
But I was under the impression there's two different violations, each separate. So there's the alcohol. I can't remember. I was told, but I can't remember how he's broke some.
Yeah, I can't remember that. I think that was part of it. Yeah, because he lied on his polygraph, so they have evidence of that.
Yeah, they know that he's been drinking when he shouldn't do, and they know he's failed a question in the sex offender class. You see, it's very alien to me. We don't have anything like this in the UK. For a start, polygraphs are just non-existent as far as the law is concerned. There are something like some kind of like sexual offenders classes in the UK. I'm not aware of them. But like I said, it's just bizarre that someone would have to go that. But we always said it really depends on what the questions are, because what about his therapist who was saying that the reason he was in this position, who said is because he couldn't say no to people?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. The lies that he had spoken to them to elicit that response from them, he had them fooled. I don't think there were any questions ever asked, did you ever have any real victims? Well, in his mind, he wouldn't think he did anyway.
No, that's true.
We were just friends, so he could probably pass that. But again, I find it hard to believe that they would violate him for 5 more years on an alcohol violation when it doesn't really have, there's not much. There is danger to the community, obviously, and I don't know whether they got him driving or if they asked him if he was driving while he was drunk too. But obviously, that would be another violation. But it has to be something, I think, directly related to his actual treatment. The fact that he was resisting it, the fact that he was denying everything he was saying, and he was deflecting, and he was wasting their goddamn time.
Yeah,
that's what I think it come down to. Now, I don't know in terms of evidence whether they want to bring that confession in or not, but they may want to ask him on a polygraph. Somebody had just asked, what is the evidentiary value of a polygraph? Whereas there is none. Just so you know, in the court there is none, but it's primarily used as an investigative tool. That's it. But in probation, it's a little different. Again, the rules are already lax. He's already convicted. The standard of evidence is much less. So, basically all they have to do is that he prove that he violated his conditions, and all it takes is really one. And there are several things that a judge can do in that situation. We could talk about that later if you want, but it's interesting. I'd like to know specifically why they violated him. Oh, by the way, if anybody happens to know when he's scheduled to appear, I'm like maybe a 3-hour drive. I wouldn't mind going to court and just.
Oh man, if you can do that, we'll do a GoFundMe to pay for your expenses if you'll do that, because you're.
I know. The only problem is I can't get footage. Federal court doesn't allow cell phones in.
No, it doesn't matter as long as you were there.
Yeah, but I got to find a way to get a GoPro on me or something.
I said
Yeah.
to you earlier, didn't I? We was having a bit of a joke, and
Ooh.
I said we were having a joke, but I said I'll book annual leave at work and pay for a flight over if I can
Yes.
see that
Yes.
happen. You know.
Yes. Oh, Andrew, that would be great. Us in the back. Oh my God. And then when his case gets called up, we move to the front. They always have reporters in the front anyway, so they're scribing things. We would be one of those
Just
guys. We'd be
start
afraid.
shouting things like, "Oh, I never even meant to do it." You know, it'd just be so funny. Like, "Oh God!" As soon as he gets sent down, it'd be like,
I,
"Oh."
I will be taking notes frantically just to make sure I don't forget anything.
It's
So
like the better part of me knows that really we shouldn't. This is a serious thing, right? You know, don't revel in someone's demise. But it's like I've said, it's almost acceptable in these circumstances because this is the number one thing that I think of, right? Not to sort of. He's not drink driving anymore. That's good enough reason alone. He was putting innocent people at risk. There was always a possibility, and we know he was been drink driving for some time.
yep,
And
yep.
he's not on the streets anymore.
He's a criminal. He's just a goddamn criminal. He's the most unreformed, unrepentant ex-con I've ever seen. He really is.
And it's frustrating because it's all down to him. Everything that's happened here, he's been. When did he get out of prison?
2012, I think.
Right.
So,
So it's 7 years, right? In 7 years, he's not. Because despite the fantastic work that was done when Tiffany spoke to him, and she like really hounded him and got him to admit the truth, none of it sunk in. As much as we wanted him to finally realize what he was, what he is, he was just reciting the words that were said to him, and then later on, he'd go back to, "I never wanted to go to that house." That's his default position.
he doesn't have an ounce of humility, first of all, like I said, and he tries to turn every shameful moment into a shameless moment. He tries to make it seem like it was like he. I'm trying to get so many examples. Nothing comes to mind, but he tries to turn it. Oh, like why did you talk to a 13-year-old girl? Because nobody else would talk to her. So he tries to turn what would be an incriminating response into an honorable response. He always does that every fucking time. It drives me crazy. It really does. And Tiffany, like you said, what an awesome job she did. She should be working for the FBI or Marshall's Department, Marshall's Services or something. But she did the work. She did the work in, I don't know how many months it took her, in years that probation couldn't get that out of him. And the other thing is, I hate to say it, but she used her feminine powers to do it.
She did, and that, to be honest, that's a great way of putting it, because as we all know, the only reason he kind of opened up to her is because in his brain he thinks he's got some kind of chance with her. He thinks that he's so self-entitled as well. Like it's staggering that in this, he's back in jail now. And I don't think he still won't learn his lesson. He'll just be blaming people that are talking to him from the internet. That blasted internet, I fucking hate it.
Where do those gorilla emojis come from? Those are great. Those are awesome. By the way, ADD. You would want to look under federal courts, and they have that would be Bureau of Prisons. So they might hold him in a state facility before his hearing, whenever that is. And I really want to know, because if I can make it, I'll go. But and eventually, when he's violated, he'll be probably sent to either Connecticut or Pennsylvania, or possibly Fort Devens if he goes minimum security, my guess. But he's going out of state once he goes. But he's probably in state right now. But he was booked by the federal government, not a local government. Sometimes the federal government borrows local resources to do things like that, but I don't think in this case they do. They're set up for that. And plus, he came right in. He walked right into his handcuffs. He walked right into his meeting, thinking that it was just going to be another day where he had to bullshit probation. Unbelievable. But the other thing is, federal system's a little slower, so you might not see it for a couple of days. but we've got to get that. We definitely got to get that. I'd love to see his face. So anyway, we could. You want me to take it possibilities of what could happen to him now? Or?
Yeah, I mean, let's sort of discuss the road that sort of got me here a little bit, and the sort of
revel in this. Okay, let's do that.
I mean, we can look at it from the point of view of the mistakes he's made. So he's not got his grip of his drinking is a massive thing. We've spoke about it before. It's one of his downfalls, of course. Every mistake that can be made by a person he makes, it's quite remarkable. I know that he bought a car that he can't afford. He missed the second payment on it. He's paying a ridiculously high interest. He got workers out that he didn't pay. He ended up paying them, but basically there was like a local workman that local trader that did some work for him, and he didn't want to pay them, and he didn't end up paying them, and they ended up he eventually ended up paying them, but he just, everywhere you look in his life, he does the wrong thing everywhere. Like, every relationship he's got, like, he doesn't have any real friends. Tone, that guy, we'll say his name, it don't fucking matter. Tony is like his friend. Yeah. But it's not his friend. He doesn't have any friends. They're only with him, or hang about with him because he gives them beer. Everybody knows that. So he doesn't have any friends.
Unindicted co-conspirator. Yeah, whoever he is. Yeah, he'd probably want to stay away from this.
Yeah, but like Lorne knows deep down that they're not really his friend. But he doesn't have anything else to do. He's trying to like look for the easy way out. So he'll hang around with deadbeats, he'll drink, he'll smoke. He's like, that smoking thing really fucking cracks me up. He's like, I'll try tomorrow, I'll quit tomorrow. He's like, I'll quit tomorrow.
No, I'm going to start trying. He doesn't say I'm going to try. I'm going to start trying. So I'm going to begin to start to try. So but he must be going through some major nicotine withdrawals right now. And also ETO alcohol too. My God. He must be miserable. Absolutely miserable.
Well, obviously he won't see it this way. I mean, you never know. It's not within the realms of impossibility that it just might make him realise where he's been going wrong all these years. I don't think it will.
No. Hey, CT, what's up, bro? Lorne literally got put in jail for just being stupid. Yes.
If Lorne got put in jail for being stupid, he would never see the light of day.
He'd be on death row. Are you kidding me? Well, it really does come down to that, though. It really does. He's so fucking dense. I mean, nothing gets through to him.
He brings new meaning to the word stupid. I mean, it's like as we're speaking about this now, it's not really. I don't class this as being reality. There's something. It's like there's some kind of. I'm expecting to wake up at any minute. It's just baffles me. The thing is, right, without say what you will about the catfishing throughout the years, some of it I've not been a fan of, some of it I've enjoyed, some of it I think has gone too far. But there's one thing that nobody can deny, and that's with some of it, not always, but some people have been trying to point him in the right direction. Even the early Ramona stuff, there was
they all did.
There's always been a push and say, do you not realise this is the reason you're in this position? You need to, and he just won't. He's so arrogant and he's so self-righteous and opinionated. And for somebody in his position to have that amount of arrogance, it staggers me. It absolutely staggers me. And he'll still have that now, and he's in jail for the second time. He's not learned a thing.
Yeah, his perception is pretty skewed. I mean, sometimes when he's talking about himself, the way he talks so glowingly about himself, I'm wondering if he realizes he's talking about himself. But he's in a place right now where he's sitting there thinking about it. He's thinking about who to blame. Somebody said he's thinking about talking to Debbie. It was Roscoe. I think you're absolutely right. I think he would love to make his one phone call to Debbie. I don't know if you remember this before when Lorne set up the when Lorne thought he was going to be violated years ago when he was with Ramona, he had a plan set up where he would call Ramona and Ramona would call his mom, and then they would get him out or whatever they were going to do. And I think that whole thing was set up so that Lorne would have bail money somehow. And I think, Debbie, if you're out there, Lorne needs to be bailed out. So can you help him out there?
Should we all get a GoFundMe to get Lorne out of jail?
Yes, I think we should transfer some of Clobber's charity money over to Lorne. Who knows?
Why don't we ring Betty up and say, all that money, can we have it back? So we can get Lorne out of jail. And he'll finally finish the work on your house.
I hope somebody reaches out to Betty. Oh, she needs a boost. I think she would love to hear this.
The thing is with Betty, she's not the type of person that would revel in Lorne's demise. There will be a part of her that would get a little bit, she wouldn't be unhappy about it. But she's
I didn't think I was either. I didn't think I was that guy either. But for some reason,
I mean, listen, we're all humans. It's totally understandable in this case. The good thing is, it's like I've said, there's one less idiot on the street driving around drunk. And that's a good thing, as well as being a predator. I don't think the predatory behaviour is such a risk because he's too stupid and ugly to attract a lot of people, and he's a coward. Every negative thing that I could think of about people, he kind of possesses, really, which is not a nice thing to say, but I'm just being honest.
And you've been doing your level best to find something redeeming about him.
I have. I still hold to the belief that all human beings have goodness inside of them. Baby Lorne wasn't bad. He's just been. He's in the position he's in because of a bad start he had in life, poor choices, a difficult life. But he's had the opportunity, and he's had help. He has a team of specialists around him, right? Let's not forget this, right? You put aside what Tiffany or anybody else that spoke to him has tried to say to him. He has this therapist, a counsellor, a probation officer, all these people that are around him all the time. And like you say, a lot of money. Just think, how much money, right, Shin? You must have a ballpark figure in your head.
Our money?
How much money...
Well, again, it's kind of hard to prorate something like that, but I think there's probably figures like that. It has to be tens of thousands of dollars a year per guy. I mean, to monitor them, but you got to remember also sometimes they pass on some of these costs to him, like his monitoring devices, his breathalyzer. So they try to defray costs as much as possible. But he usually files some kind of a petition claiming he's too poor, and sometimes he gets a break on that. But if you're talking about all the salaries involved and the classes involved and everything else, it's kind of hard to separate that because there's so many people. But my guess is at least $100,000 a year,
a year
to deal with it, to babysit him, essentially, to babysit him.
Wow.
Yeah, my guess. Yeah, I mean that doesn't sound too much out of the ballpark, but so all those wasted resources. For nothing. I think he's worse since he's gotten out.
That's a really good point. That it isn't something that I thought to ask you and ask people in the chat. And sorry, I'm not ignoring everybody. I've not got it up on my computer screen because I don't want my computer to crash again. But I just want to say a few hellos. Clobbering Time is here. Hello, sir. And Mulder. Could you give me Scully's number, please? Because she's really hot. Psychology, hello. And Webbs, what was it you said before, Webbs? You made a really fucking funny comment.
Yeah, I saw that. I forgot. I was in
stitches right before the chat started, but it made me laugh.
T-Cap Recipes, one of my favorite.
T-Cap Recipes is in the house. Who does some fantastic videos. So entertaining. That's the spirit of Lornography. I don't think maybe the risk that you think that like this might dry up. Of course, we're not going to get any new material, but we don't really need any. We've got.
Oh, I think I know what the question was. Was it about will it be an interrogation video? Was that the question? Maybe it was a question in there. I saw that. I thought it was a pretty good question. I don't know if that was you, Webbs, or not. Oh, who will what Lorne blame this time? Okay. I don't think I think the interrogation is done in probation, and he's pretty much, they don't really need much from him.
So the question you asked, Shin, which was great,
Yeah.
was, do we think he's worse now than when we got out? I mean, the thing is, we can theorize, but we don't know what his state of mind was like. Well, put it this way, right? He's give up with his crazy lawsuits, but I think that's just because he's just been distracted with all the catfishing. I don't think it's because he doesn't want to. He thinks. Oh, that was it. Webbs, yeah, that was brilliant. He said, like, are we sure that they didn't know about the mac and cheese incident? I think you actually said, Webbs, that, are you sure, if only the judge knew about the mac and cheese incident, then he wouldn't have been gone to jail. Do you know what I mean? He'd be like, no, don't, let that man free.
That lawyer to bring that up, that's malpractice.
Oh, man.
Absolutely. By the way, psychology made a great point. We wanted to talk about this too. What's it going to be like when he gets out?
Yeah, we can talk. Listen, we can't run on too long because I've got work tomorrow. But we could talk about this forever. We'll do another stream on Sunday night if you've got time, Shin, and we'll probably. I'm looking to get a few guests in. Maybe CT can join us before he does his usual stream. But with regard to if he's worse or not, I don't think he's any better or any worse specifically. His drink. Well, saying that though, it depends which way. I
forgot about the lawsuits.
Yeah, it depends which way you're looking at it because his drink driving now, his alcoholism is probably worse. He's probably in worse shape. As you get older, it gets tougher to manage. You get more tired and your energy levels are not as high. If he's got decreased energy, he's probably going to become a worse person because he's focusing what little energy he's got in the wrong ways. That's probably a silly way of looking at it, really, because if he had more energy, he'd just be focusing it all on bullshit. But I don't think that he's going to be any worse or any better in any way, in any real way, than when he first got out. What do you think?
No, well, if he does the full 5, which is a good chance, and he doesn't have that hanging over his head, I think he might even be worse if he doesn't have a suspended sentence hanging over his head like this. I think. I think that'll be a less of a restriction on him. So that's the only thing I'm concerned about. But in terms of his psychology, who the fuck knows? This guy is so obtuse. I mean, I just can't. There's nothing. When you think you got through to him, minutes later.
Yeah, literally minutes.
Demonstrate that he hasn't. That's the problem. You think you got through to him, and you don't know what it takes to keep it in there. Before he starts spouting out, I never meant to go there and all that shit. Of course, he keeps forgetting that he was arrested as soon as he showed his dick on his webcam. So it didn't matter whether he went there or not. But I don't know. I think now his ire might head toward the community when he gets out. I think it'll be like, I think right now, instead of seething about NBC, Chris Hansen, Universal, and perverted justice, he's seething about the TCAP community, the Church of God.
I think that's exactly what'll happen.
That's what he's steaming. That's what he's steaming about right now.
Yeah, I think he'll point to all the catfishing. He'll say that psychologically ruined him. It'd be an interesting thing to say. Would he be better or worse if none of that had have happened? I don't think that. We'll put it this way: it'd just create chaos in some other way. Probably it's difficult.
Well, he's got more to blame now. So he's got more excuses. He doesn't have his brothers or sisters or whatever involved. Now he has the community. He'll be doing that. He'll be thinking about that for a long time. I'd love to get his letters. Oh my God, I would love to get his letters.
Which letters?
The ones he'll be sending from prison.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, I mean, we don't know that he's gonna. We don't know that he's gonna. It's gonna be interesting to see what he focuses his energy on. In jail, he did the weights. He wrote his silly lawsuits and basically hounded his mother for money. You made a good point as well. We don't really want to talk about Lorne's family too much, but if his mom isn't there when he gets out, or isn't a support for him when he goes back inside, because didn't she say from some of the recent calls that if he goes back inside, she's not going to support him anymore?
Ken, I agree. Ken Davis.
Hey, Ken.
I wish somebody had said that, but that's okay. I mean, it's pretty much a fact anyway. His mother had said that if he goes inside, she's going to give his trailer away. I mean, that's pretty much all he's got. And oh, by the way, I guess there's one other silver lining here. Hopefully Sadie and Roscoe find decent homes. That's kind of a silver lining. At the same time, I'm kind of concerned about them until we figure out what happens to them. I'm sure we'll get a hard luck story from Lorne at some point.
Oh yeah, that's the point. Who's going to take care of his dogs?
Well, it's funny. During his interrogation, his original interrogation for his original arrest, he never mentioned Bud once. I got a dog at home. What am I going to do? Am I going to be in jail tonight? How long am I going to be there? Why didn't he say, well, what about my dog? If he cares so much about his fucking dogs, why does he say something? I guarantee
he doesn't even care about his mother, does he? He has a very basic, childish kind of clinging to her. But it's like she said in one of the recent calls, doesn't spend any time with her at all. He's not interested.
Yeah.
That's why even she's dropping him. She said, I believe that if he goes back to prison because of his drinking, she's going to fuck him off. Now, the thing is, she probably won't. But the thing is, as opposed to when he was in jail, she's 10 years older. She's an old lady.
Psychology just said that. If Mama Gwen passes away while Lorne's in jail, Lorne will be a mess.
Yeah,
I mean, Roy. Can you imagine that?
I think that this could be the end of him. I don't. Listen, we can talk about this. We can have a little bit of fun because ultimately he's where he deserves to be. But we don't want any serious harm to come to him. But I think this could be the beginning of the end for him. I don't see a way out for him. I don't know how he can come back from this.
Here's a question for the community, and you, Andrew. Do you think this new experience, when he finally gets out, will finally humble him?
No. What do you think?
Geez, well, to get him to admit to everything and to admit he's a predator and admit he's a stalker and admit he's a serial predator and all this stuff, I don't know if we'll ever get him to do that as well as he did with Tiffany. But it's already out there, and I think they'll work with that. And at some point, no, I think he'll always try to deflect or to try to show that he was trying to act honorably or something. But I don't know. I mean, if this doesn't do it, what does?
It's possible. Listen, I've got to believe that every human being, and hey, Brendan Kent has just said he doesn't believe he will, but I've got to believe that every human being has the opportunity for redemption, has the decision to make. There's people on death row, right, that have murdered people, that have butchered people, that have tortured people, real bad people, not your petty criminal like Lorne. And these people have managed to turn their life around and see the error of the ways. It happens. There's, I've read some books about it, and there's many documentaries about it. It happens. It's part of being a human. The chance for redemption, no matter how bad our sins are. Lorne is missing a vital element, and I don't know. And that's the will to get better. He can't get better if he doesn't realise there's a problem. He doesn't realise there's a problem because he refuses to believe that he's ever done anything wrong. He's still that little child that got bullied, that was abandoned, that was
the baby of the family.
Yeah, he's still that child, and we know this. It's not. It doesn't take a fucking genius psychologist to work this out. He cries all the time. He can't take responsibility. He can't form normal relationships. He's just a child. He really is. He's not matured at all. But he always has a choice. Everybody's got a choice.
Clobber made a good point. I assume you're answering the question whether this experience will humble him, Clobber. He says not a chance. He'll play the victim. I think he's exactly right.
I agree.
I never thought of that. I think this will give him more evidence to prove he's a victim.
Yeah, and
in his mind.
Yeah, I think there's a chance that he could be redeemed. There's always a chance that a human being can make the right decision, no matter how crazy and out there it might seem. But there's this. But what you got to remember about him is these crazy mind structures that he's created of bullshit and not taking responsibility and blaming people and all this kind of bullshit, they're so deeply embedded into who he is, into the very structure of the personality that he's become, that it would be almost impossible to eradicate them. The only way that you could do it is like shock therapy and
or
some extreme form of punishment. Yeah. It's true. I don't mean that to be
brain transplant, maybe. But for those, Andrea, and everybody who just joined us, everybody's asking. Some people are asking what the gist is going on. Lorne is back to jail. He's been violated. They determined there was probable cause to hold him. He was denied bail because the court deemed he was a danger to the community. He will have a surrender hearing coming up, at which time we don't know yet. And I'll stop there because you wanted me to hold off on that, on where I think it's going to go from there. But
no, let's go into it now. Well, you tell us from your experience what's going to happen to him now, given everything that you know.
Yeah, I actually called my old partner who's still doing federal practice, and she was wondering what this is all about. I had to kind of explain it to her.
Does she know all about your crazy interest in this?
No. She probably thinks it's somebody else I'm helping or something. But
that's funny.
But she said there's basically there's three options here. You know, the judge. You got to remember this court that he's going to appear before is not going to be the same court that gave him his original sentence. That was down in Kentucky, the federal district down there.
Yeah.
So chances are, what they typically do, and this is what Sue said, my friend. She said, let's see if I could. Let's see. She basically said, how did she say it? She said it in a perfect way, but basically she said he would be doing his time, his entire 5 years.
Wow.
So that would essentially, under federal truth in sentencing laws, they do 85% now. So he'd be getting out in 4 years, 4 months. So he'd get 8 months shaved off his time for 85%. That's what the worst case scenario for him is. And most likely, because again, a judge up here is not likely to upset a suspended sentence with all the evidence that they had when they made that disposition down in Kentucky. So the easiest thing for them to do is to just send him back for 5 years. The other option is they could reprobate him. And if they reprobate him, that means that they're going to require him to have new conditions. Now, how many times have they tried that? I don't know if there is any more conditions. So I think probation is finally at their wits' end. They said, we've done everything we could. So I don't think they're going to reprobate them. And the other thing is, part of reprobation is they could, if it's an alcohol problem, they could send them to an inpatient facility for a period of time. And then they could release him. But that won't count off his suspended sentence. That's again, another condition of his probation, an inpatient program. And finally, the judge can require him to, in a very rare instances, to serve part of a suspended sentence. So he might say, committed to 1 and suspending 4, or committing to 2 and suspending 3. So a lot of things could happen to him. That's why I want to be there. I want to see his face. But anyway, I'm sorry. And I will. Maybe I'll be one of those. In federal court, you're not allowed to bring cameras in, or you're not allowed to record the proceedings. Like news companies aren't allowed to actually set up cameras or anything like in state courts. So you have these people drawing sketches of people.
But is anybody allowed in there though?
Yeah, everybody is. It's open to the public.
But
absolutely.
It's not a trial, is it? It's just a hearing.
It's a hearing, yeah.
So, yeah. But basically, like, the judge will have jurisdiction and he'll make a judgment, like,
right.
But he'll have a defense, a public defender, one would assume.
That is correct. It'll be a bench trial. It won't be a jury.
Right.
The finder of fact will be the judge. He'll be appointed an attorney. As a matter of fact, that order allowed him.
T-Cap represents, I got to see this shit show for myself.
T-Cap, if you're in the Boston area, we could take a road trip.
Oh, somebody's got to go. I've got a funny feeling someone's going to turn up. If we can, will it be a matter of public record about where his hearing will be held? Is it something we'll be able to find out?
yeah, I mean, we'll do a little more research on that. But and I'll take a look at see if I can see the schedule, court schedule. They usually don't do it until like the Thursday before the next week. But my guess is he probably won't be heard for another week or two. He's already been denied bail, so that's it. They can keep him as long as he wants, and there's no speedy trial rights either, by the way. That's in the beginning of the case. So when they're ready, they'll bring him in. But yeah, the other thing is, there might be a possibility we get access to the transcripts. Actually, wouldn't be transcripts; they would be tapes. We'd have to send over to a stenographer and get them transcribed.
You've been saying we'd actually be able to get the audio tapes?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, that's the only way. Unless they have it depends on what kind of stenographer they have in the court. If she's doing a strip, if she's just typing, there's no record. Well, there's always a recording, but it's off the official record. The official record's the stenographers. So, but sometimes they record, and then if you want a copy of the transcript or proceedings, you gotta buy the tape from the court and then send it to a stenographer to have it transcribed. But Joey, yes, Joey, if you want to do this together, I'd love to do this with you. Is he here? Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
So I think there's a good chance he's going to do 5 years or 4 years and 2 months. But in that case, Mama Gwen is not. Who knows if she'll be around when he gets out?
Yeah, I mean, this is why I think that in order for him to sort of have any kind of chance of being even a half decent person, the odds are against him. It's like when he got out of jail, he was relatively young. Well, not he wasn't old, and he was in a position where he was reasonably healthy. He had family to rely on. He could have done something. He had a job at Clark's Milk, didn't he? I mean, how many jobs has he had?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's had a few, hasn't he? He can't hold jobs down, which isn't uncommon for a lot of people. But he fucks things up. He's still. I mean, look at how much money he's paid Betty since he got out.
Joey, you might be right. You might be right. Again, I don't know what they're violating him on specifically, though. If it's alcohol related, you're probably right. But if this is related to his dishonesty with his sex abuse class, that seems to be a little more serious and going right to the crime itself. So who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if that happened too. But again, who knows? He's going to be in jail for a while. It's just we do know. And when he comes out, he might even have an ankle monitor on or something. Who knows? Making sure that he can't go anywhere besides work and home for the first year or two. I mean, they could really tighten it up. So that's Lorne's day. Lorne's couple days, actually. He was taken into custody yesterday.
Yeah, it's a big deal for him personally. Like, this is why you would think there'd be a part of him that would sort of realise, like, he's nearly 50. He's in jail for the second time. He doesn't know how long he's going to be in there. You would think this is why his behaviour becomes even more confusing. Is you would think that 5 years in jail and the torrid time that he had and being labelled a sex offender and he admitting that he thought his life was in danger, as it would be with people like him, there wasn't a massive deterrent for him to start again, for him to sort himself out.
Joey, that was probably from the original court, right? I mean, he didn't, he wasn't in another federal court in a different state. It was probably the same judge he was in front of, so the judge had the discretion to do that. But yeah, that could very well happen, Joey. I mean, you never know. But I haven't seen Rabbi K's paperwork at all. That would be interesting. He violated. Do you know why he violated, Joey?
Lorne's violated it 5 times.
No. He is in Shin. Rabbi.
You mean the rabbi? Right.
Yeah,
okay.
We're comparing another case, and I'm not sure if Rabbi K was federal court or state court either. So there's a couple of things we got to consider here. Let's see. Mostly hiding cell phones and credit cards. Okay, yeah, those are issues. That's definitely an issue. But see, that's directly related to the crime too. That's kind of more serious too.
Look what Daft Khan's just said.
What? K was federal too? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Look at Daft Khan's comment.
Who's?
Daft Khan in the comments.
Oh, we were gonna do the original. Should we wait for the second one?
Oh yeah, I mean that's. Are we still streaming?
I think yeah. Joey answered my question. You guys hear us?
Right, I'm just. Right, yeah. Sorry, my phone's gone funny because I've had to do it on my phone. But yeah, that's genius. That Daft Khan taking abroad too, back in the shit. That's. I mean, he has got another opportunity to write another novel, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I bet you he will write something, and it'll be something scathing. It'll include characters that with the name change just a little bit, like instead of Tiffany, it'll be something else, Timber or something. You know, it'll be just close enough to the character, and maybe he'll have a serial murderer kill her first. Who knows in this one? But my guess he's got a lot of anger in this one, a lot more anger, and it's probably a more confusing for him than it was the first time. My guess.
Well, we do know this.
They pulled him back in, Jake, right?
Basically, we know that Lorne tried to he knew that he had a meeting with probation. He knew that he'd basically failed some of his terms. And I've heard calls where he's been complaining that he wanted to have the terms of his probation changed because,
right,
and the reason being, quite simply, is because he knows he can't keep to them. He went to see, as I understand it, 2 different lawyers to make a complaint about probation, and both of those lawyers told him to fuck off because they said you cannot win against probation. They make the terms, you either keep to them or you don't, unless it's something like you must dance in acid naked every day for 2, you know. But we're talking about reasonable, you know, drinking, sex offender classes. We're not talking stupid demands here. It's stupid for him because he's a fuckwit who's got no self-control.
I think in one of the calls from the dump, the specific condition he wanted changed was the alcohol.
Yeah.
He wanted to be able to drink unfettered, with no control, nothing. I mean, you know, he expects rewards when he's failing.
I do believe that he has actually gone through a period of time without drinking. No. But the damage has been done. He's done it. I think he's done like quite a number of days without drink, or so we believe. But the reason he's done that is because he knows that it's gone too far now. It's only got to the point where he's decided to do something about it. When he knows he's taken it too far and he's fucked. He knew that this was bad news. He knew something was going to go down. He's like, oh, I quit drinking. Look how good I am. Well, no, hang on a minute, Sonny Jim. The time to do that was before you failed these tests and before you violated your probation. Not, you know, it's 7 years later now. We're not talking a couple of months after he's got out and he's struggling to adapt.
Let's see. Yeah, the restriction. Yeah, I mean, you caught of thunder. Yeah, I think you can definitely say that his alcohol and his driving probably is what posed the danger to the community. Especially since he ran into a house before. But for some reason, I think it's somebody who gets kicked out of sex offender class is essentially a failed probation. You know, there's nothing. That's the most important thing for his probation. And if he gets suspended from that, then the question is why. Are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking about. I'm just trying to. I had to add Joey as a mod so we can post some links for people in the
thanks,
chat.
Joey.
Sorry to be rude, Shin. I was just trying to sort that out. What was your question?
No, you just wrote done. I don't know why, but I'm just trying to figure that out. We're trying to we're trying to pay more attention to the chat log this time. So
yeah, because we've not done that in the past, have we? We're trying to because this is this isn't like about me and you. This is about everybody. Well, it's about Lorne really, but
yeah. So if anybody's got any questions, please throw them out there. We'll do the best we can.
Yeah, don't forget, guys. I'm just somebody who prattles on about all this. Shin is a legal expert. I think it's fair to say. You've just. Do you mind just saying a little bit about your background, Shin? Very briefly.
I had I was originally I was a prosecutor for a couple of years when I got out of law school, and then I had a private practice, defense, state and federal work, and I did represent pedophiles. But this is at a time when it wasn't really wasn't internet based. It was the old-fashioned version, the incests and I had a priest once and a few cases like that. But you did that for about 15 years, I think, and it just kind of I went into a different career and a different career after that. But the law never leaves you, I guess. And Lorne just kept bringing back flashbacks, some of my experiences here.
But despite everything that you've just said, and you've dealt with pedophiles and people, priests and things like that, which must have been really difficult. Because I think I asked you a question when we were on air once. Is the most common question that you get is, how do you deal with defending people like that? How do you have the ability to try and get these people justice who, when it would seem that they don't deserve any?
Well, first of all, there was a time where I stopped taking any sexual assault cases or pedophile cases at all. It did, so there is a personal element to it. But in terms of when you first start out, and you're basically told to take pretty much, you're taught to pretty much take every case. And the reason for that is because regardless of how guilty the guy is, he deserves a defense. And that is, our system only works if everybody does their job. The judge does their job, the prosecutor does their job, and the jury does their job, and the defense lawyer does his job. And in order to get a just conviction or an acquittal in some cases, the defense really has to challenge. So he has to challenge the state, with everything they got, and put on whatever defenses they have. And that's basically the way we look at it. It's kind of maintaining the system, is maintaining our constitutional system. If everybody decided they wouldn't represent the worst of the worst, then the system, we wouldn't have anybody defend this guy, and we couldn't try him. So, and not only that, we can't just have somebody come in there and mail it in. They got to represent these guys zealously. So the way I justified it was, I'm supporting the Constitution. It's not necessarily this guy, but our system of justice. And I had to do the best job I had to do. And if I won and it was unjust, it's not my fault. It's the prosecutor's fault. They didn't do their job. So that's the way we justified it. But again, the experience I had years ago on my last pedophile case, I just decided not to take any of those cases. And if I was ever appointed, I would turn those down too as well. So mainly because it was one of these things that stayed with you for a while, especially when you looked at the evidence and you looked at the photographs and you looked at some cases autopsies, kids and things like that. It was pretty tough. So,
yeah, I bet it was. But I mean, in a way, people like yourself deserve to be applauded for that, because someone has got to represent these people, and it would take. Because there's a very easy way of looking at it. They go, "I fucking dare you defend these people, you're as bad as they are." But like you said, the system does not work if everybody isn't in their place and doing the job correctly, because some people, well, all people deserve to be treated as the law says. No matter how guilty you are, you've got to give people the justice that they would deny other people. Otherwise, what's the point of having that system?
Or you have a star chamber.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at the end of the day, we're supposed to be moving forward, and it's like, what you've got to remember about the justice system now is, yes, there is a lot of injustice. It's very difficult to look at sometimes, and there are people out there that shouldn't be. But compare it to 300, 400, 500 years ago, or even longer than that, when there wasn't a justice system.
Yep.
Someone stole a pig from your farm. There was nobody to adjudicate that. It was independent, and you'd end up going to war with that family for hundreds of years. Nobody would be able to sort that out, and no, we can't. It's not a perfect system, but what is a perfect system?
Tribal rules. I got to tell you though, the reverse of this, the worst cases that really keep you up at night are the ones where you think you have somebody who's innocent, because you have a lot on your shoulders on that one. You're emotionally invested in that one. When you really truly think that somebody is not guilty.
You mean like Stephen Avery's defense team?
Pardon me?
Stephen Avery's defense team.
Yeah, I mean, you fight like hell, but when you lose, you really take that personally. You do everything you can. You may want to stick around the appeal. Typically, you shouldn't, because you may want to fall on your sword for ineffective assistance of counsel to help the guy out, whatever it takes. But it's the innocent ones that scare me. That puts a load on my shoulders. Typically when somebody who is guilty, and they're guilty, it's much easier to represent, believe it or not. I know that sounds fucked up, but it's true. You get a lot on your shoulders when you got somebody who's innocent.
So one is something that I wanted to ask you, Shin, actually, and now that we've talked about this a bit, is that you've got a lot of experience with extreme cases and seen things that the rest of us probably haven't, and had to deal with it in a very real way. Taking all that into effect, why does this guy boil your blood so much? Because I would have thought that because of what you've seen, it would be easy for you to sort of not forgive him, tolerate him. Well,
you know how those lawyers told him to fuck off?
Yeah.
That's essential. I would know within 5 minutes after talking to him. He's just somebody who's not going to come to the truth at all. He's not going to level with me, not going to trust me, and he's going to handcuff me. So just from an advocate standpoint, he would drive me up a fucking wall. But the thing is, in this case, I think it's the I don't know. It's like I said, I didn't deal with cases that had internet components to it. I didn't see actual chat logs like this. All I heard was testimony from people. There was no specific conversations, the 407-page chat log that I can go through, and the phone conversations, nothing like that, no recordings, all witness-based. It's a little bit different, and it kind of can separate you a little bit more emotionally that way. But when you actually read the stuff, as specifically as this, it's hard not to take it personal. And again, I've been out of the law for what almost 10 years now anyway. So it's not, there's a less callous on me now, and there's more of a human reaction. So I don't know, but with him, it's his sense of entitlement and the way he treats people, and especially the way he treats women.
Yeah. And
I can't stand that, and I can't stand the stuff that he does is things like, "Well, you love me anyway." Oh my God, it drives me up the wall.
What was that? There was one of the most cringiest, kind of disturbing bits of one of the calls is where Tiffany really laid into him. I think it was it the let's find where he says no call, where she goes over the chat log and tries to find, of course we know it doesn't exist because he's adamant that he said no and it never did. I might be getting that wrong, but anyway,
Kayla
really
said no about 10 times.
Yeah.
Kayla, she did.
Yeah.
I think I counted it. Yeah.
But I think it might have been a different call, but basically she really went to town on him and gave him what for, and called him like some pretty bad stuff, like, and he went, it's something along the lines of, "You really love me, don't you?" It's like, oh my God, it's
but you love me anyway. Whatever. She just insulted him, and then, but you love me anyway.
Tries to turn it around.
And there was another phone call where he said, "I deserve to have a chance for you."
Yes.
I'm thinking, what the? And he asked right outright, how do you deserve that? And he feels like, and he what he tried to do is bully her into a relationship. What a predator! What a stalker!
He is the definition of a predator, isn't he? We've talked about this in other videos about what is predatory behavior. It's like a, you would initially think of a predatory behavior as a physical thing, because that's generally what the word predator would mean, is that you're the animal in waiting that's trying to pick out his prey. But the modern predator It's a psychological game. He psychologically manipulated Kayla intensely for a month. It was all manipulation and control.
That's
He
right.
does it on the phone calls now.
Yeah.
That's what a predator is. Lorne hasn't got enough about him, to do the physical thing is a different aspect. It's like I think when we did the stream with Tiffany is, we said that she said that she doesn't draw a difference between the physical act of what an attack may be and the psychological aspect of it, because it's a different form of attack. The psychological thing sometimes can be worse because you're fucking with someone's head, especially a kid. And a kid, this is what pisses people off so much. A kid needs protecting. They don't have the ability to make decisions themselves. Well, they do, but they're not. They're still figuring the world out. They don't know what's going on. They don't. All adults are there to trust them, and when someone violates that, and someone uses it for their own sadistic purposes, it's as bad as it gets. And this is why. And this was told to him in a call. This is why people like him are seen as the lowest of the low, the bottom of the barrel, the scum of the earth.
I think you're right, Last Tanker, by the way. I think there's a chance he might sober up and reflect. Just a chance.
Yeah, I do. I've always... I have to believe that every human being has a chance. I hope he does, because one thing that you can't deny is a healthy lawn is not a dangerous lawn. So he gets out, he's not drink driving again, he's not ripping anybody else off, and he's not a danger to children. We all, no matter what your feelings are towards him, everybody surely can agree with that. The most important element in all of this is innocent people.
Yep.
He's in prison. My opinion is, for what it's worth, it's only my opinion, he should never get out.
Me too. I agree. I think John Wesley Elliott had a good idea. Send them all to an island.
Yeah, well, that's an even better. I mean, the do-gooders wouldn't let that happen, but that would be the perfect solution. Shove them all on an island and let them sort themselves out.
Yeah, and by the way, you asked again what was the other thing that infuriated me. If you look at it from a victimology standpoint, who he pursued, who he preyed on, vulnerable, broken girls.
Yeah,
they were already. Who knows whether they're depressed or whether they were, they have psychological issues. What the fuck is he doing in their lives? And I can only imagine.
No right, has he?
No, it's like I can only imagine if my, again, I keep going back right around. My daughter was just a little bit younger when he was arrested. She was 10, so maybe it was his age range that he was looking for. But I can't help but relate it to that. But
it's understandable though, Shin, that there's going to be a part of your emotions that are caught up in the fact that you have a daughter, and it doesn't make you different than, say, somebody who doesn't. But of course, you were there. You've brought a life into this world and protected them and nurtured them, and you see someone like Lorne as a threat to that, and of course, it's going to affect you.
Or a sister, or a niece, or somebody, a relative, a cousin, anybody who knows somebody like this, who loves somebody like that. Just imagine that. Just imagine this pig doing that.
It's best not to let your mind go down that avenue, because you'll just get angry, and I don't want anybody to have any undue and negative emotions. He's
protected.
Because he's not worth it. At the end of the day, we can look at it, we can have a bit of a laugh because it's all his own doing. Nobody stitched him up, really. Besides, what you might think about the catfishing and whatnot. I know enough to know that all these decisions, he's always had the opportunity to walk away. He's always had the opportunity to stop drinking. From a very deeper level, the really deepest level, he couldn't do it because he couldn't face up to what being reformed would, the pain and that he would have to endure, but he didn't want to do the hard work. And I'm sorry, but if you don't do the hard work, you end up in a jail cell. Life's tough. Life is fucking tough.
I would modify what somebody said earlier, that he was surrender. I think it was Clobber. He was surrendered for being stupid. I think he was surrendered for being stupid and lazy. I think lazy is a big part of it. He just did nothing to rehabilitate himself, did nothing to reach deep down and go where it's hard. He did nothing. So, and I think he's the laziest man I've ever seen. I've never seen anybody like this. Let's see. Yeah, he's going to miss an entire presidential term. If you think about it that way, or a kid starts college and he'll be graduated by the time he gets out. Letter to the judge. Oh, by the way, people were wondering where there's a video up there that shows the arrest warrant. Somebody asked if there's a copy of the arrest warrant somewhere, and I think it's on Lorne Redemption channel. So check it out. And there is also the judge's order somewhere, and I'm not sure where that is. Did you see that, Andrew?
No.
It was on YouTube. Oh, that's where I got the information. Somebody posted that.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure. I do believe that it'll be in the dump at some point.
It's pretty scant. There's not really much to it, so you know.
I've just been asked if I'd ever do a video about the letter to the judge. I'm just wondering what letter to the judge you were referring to.
Who wrote it? In what case?
Yeah, are we saying like if he writes one to the judge in this case, or did he write one to the judge?
Oh no, he would. No, he was sandbagged as soon as he walked into probation. He didn't know what he was walking into. Like I said, he walked into his arrest. They were waiting for him. They had the arrest warrant on the 28th. They arrested him yesterday. They had it for a while, so they were waiting for him. They could have picked him up at his house. Maybe they tried and he was at Tony's. You never know. But let's see.
But wouldn't the normal step, because I know they do that in the UK, if he's arrested, he's got a probation meeting, he's violated his terms, won't they just wait until he turns up to the meeting and do him then? Which is what's happened.
Yeah, save resources. Just pick him. Just have him come to you. Jake, Lorne wrote a letter to the judge. Which case is this? Oh, is this his civil lawsuits? Because there was a bunch of letters there.
About the probation I think this is this must be a recent thing. I don't. Right, sorry, you're gonna guys. I should know this, but I don't. Could someone enlighten us as to when this letter was wrote and
when is a good idea? When is a good question?
Yeah, and can I have a copy, please? Can someone? Is there a link that someone can put in the description or something?
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Is there a picture or something? Has Joey got it or?
Joey would be the man.
Has Chris Hansen got it? Because if he has, we're all screwed.
He will strike it. That will be it.
Isn't it weird? How shit happens, right? Chris Hansen goes mad. Lorne ends up back in jail. I mean, what's going to happen next?
Well, it's not like we don't have enough material.
I know.
I know he's the gift that keeps giving, but it's starting to get tedious. But at the same time, we're starting to get somewhere. And just when we did, he ends up in jail, and that was good. I thought that wrapped it up nicely.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay, Chris, hold on a sec. He said it was. Jake said it was a recent letter, and we talk about Lorne's case, right?
Yeah.
Text of letter. Do you have that?
Lorne even confesses to the judge about being catfish, and also says it was a long-distance relationship. He seems to treat these as two different things. Guys, don't torture me. Where's this fucking letter?
Where is it? Yeah, somebody's got that. We're so unprepared.
I know. I feel kind of stupid now.
I know.
Kind of feel like Lorne does sat in prison. Just imagine what he's doing right now.
Can you put the whoever's got it? Can they put the link in a comment somewhere? By the way, that would be great.
I'm sure we'll patience. I'm sure
Tim.
We'll get it. Yeah. Tim, hello, sir. It's good to see you. We are gonna have to wrap up very soon. I apologise to everybody for the glitch earlier on. It's just kind of sod's law, isn't it? I wrote my little song, which took 15 minutes, and and then the computer blew up. Maybe it was kind of like the computer saying that was shit, but
no, it was good. It was really good. I expected I fought the law, but that was even better.
Well, I spoke to Shin before. I said, right, we've got to put some music on at the beginning of the chat, and you brilliantly came up with like I fought the law and the law won. So I was learning the chords, which were really straightforward. It was only like a D, a G, and an A. I was like, fucking hell, and I just did a little like. I was trying to change the lyrics, and I thought I just came up with my own silly little melody, and then just wrote a few lines. I thought, well, that'll be nice. Just a bit of something different. So
it was great. It was great. At least you didn't crash in the middle of the song. So
Well, that's true. That's true. I don't know whether it'll be there online or not. I think it might get. Well, we'll see. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go. What we plan to do, guys, is we'll do another stream on Sunday night. What I will probably do is we'll get people. I know I've been saying I'll be doing this for ages, but I think we're going to do Lawn Radio. So what I will do, if I can't get a Google Hangout to work, what I will do is I will take people's Skype from the chat. I'll add people and we'll talk to people as it's going on, and we can get people involved, and we can all have a little bit of a chat about, you can tell us about, what drew you to sort of the TCAP community and your favourite lawn moments. We can have a bit of fun. Are you up for that, Shin?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, CTP's here. Did you get here late, man? I'm sorry you missed it.
Hey, dude. Lawn Radio 6. Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Love to hear from people. We've got to do this, and hopefully we'll have more information. We'll see.
Yeah, even this letter that people are torturing us with.
I know.
Yeah, but I'm sure. But yeah, is there anything? Is there anything you want to close with, Shin?
Well, Tiffany just arrived. We gotta acknowledge her.
Hey, Tiff. Right at the end.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. I just posted a link to it. Oh right, okay. I think it's. Oh right, I'll have to make you a moderator, dude, because I think.
We got to get Tiffany back on. She's at ground zero. She can help us here.
Put user report. Why is it not letting me? Oh yeah, right, dude. Could you post the link again, to the letter, because it's not going to do it. So you just post a link to the letter, and then I'm just doing this for purely self-serving reasons, because I want to see this fucking letter to the judge, and I will do a video about it. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Jesus, probably several. It'll probably keep me in videos for the next, I don't know, ever, till I die. So yeah. So
right.
Just wait. So any closing comments, Mr. Koala?
No, I'm kind of in a nice fugue, relaxing state right now. This is good. At least we know that the streets are safe in Cornville.
I know. Did you? What did you think the chances of this happening were before he went into the meeting?
Well, you know what I said. I thought he was going to be. I thought he was walking into a violation. That's what I thought. And but really, it's the stuff, Tiffany's work, that I knew was going to be a game changer after that. And I have a feeling that might come into play here. You never know. But I know probation cannot be very happy to suspend his sex offender class. But there may be more to it, and we'd love to know the real information. This is all guesswork. So anyway, we'll get some more information, and we'll do what we can. And if I can make a trip up there, I'll be glad to give you a blow-by-blow of what I saw.
Oh, man. Right. We'll have to...
See if I can do an artist depiction of him while he's sitting in the front row, crying, no doubt, but we'll see.
Right. Right, so we'll end it there, guys. Shin, sir, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a lot of fun, as we thought it was going to be. We've had a whole lot to talk about. I don't think we've covered everything that we wanted to. It's too much, and when we do these, they're sometimes not as structured as what we would like.
They never are, but it's fun though. It's fun.
As long as people enjoy it, that's all that matters. We have a bit of fun. I think people do listening. That's really all that matters. It's all, it's all for everybody's just, a bit of entertainment, a bit of light-hearted relief, and laughing at the plight of this pathetic geezer. So, anyway, thank you, sir, for joining me.
Yeah, and thank you very much, and thank you, everybody.
And guys. So, have a great evening, and this is a momentous day. I mean, just think, right, this guy, what is it, how long has it been since he got out? 7 years. 7 years of monitoring and help and support and taxpayers' money, and he's fucked it all up and ended up going back inside again. So I think a lot of people predicted this, but
and he meant to do it this time.
There's no getting around it this time. So thank you very much, guys, and don't forget, we'll be doing, if all goes according to plan, we'll be doing another one of these on Sunday night around about the same time. And goodbye, sweethearts.
Bye, guys.